Alright, it says starting soon. That must be true. Here we go, folks. Kevin Keller rocking the night. I'm so happy. I'm grateful for that for a whole bunch of reasons. First of all, it's all awesome and fun to get money. But second of all, we got thunderstorms and I could be gone any second. Remedy Amish comic trying to make Tuesday suck less on Wednesday, or trying to make Wednesday suck less, depending on how you look at things. Uh, the lovely Mrs. Comic in the house trying to keep me on the railroad tracks here in the chat. All kind of fun stuff going on. There's minor speculation when I don't live stream Tuesdays and I go Wednesday. Whole bunch of things could it be. I just could feel like shit. I could be exhausted. I could have something to do. Uh, Mostly right now we have it's kind of awesome. Mrs. Comic and I, our granddaughter is interning from college in this neighborhood, and it's random when she comes up. And so far, it's been like Tuesday, so we've been the last couple Tuesdays where we did not live stream. We're going to hang out with our college granddaughter interning, so that's kind of fantastic. Um, some other fun shit going on here. I got way too much stuff planned, which means in about 15 minutes I'll just run out of shit to say. Because anytime I say I got too much planned, over prepared, I just put the fucking curse on myself. And then when that happens, then we'll know I kind of did it to myself. So when last we hung out and spoke, we were swapping ideas about things that we like to watch movie wise over the holidays, over 4th of July. And Clee's sister chimed in with the Back to the Futures. And Richter loved the Back to the Futures. It was almost tradition. Richter, we went up to the Mahoning Drive-In Friday night for VHS Fest, and I picked up the uh, Back to the Future trilogy for like $10 on VHS. When I Rick, when I told the guy at the VHS tent that one of my fans likes the second one best, he made this face. So apparently he didn't really agree with you. Uh, with Mrs. Comic and I, we love the first one, and I must confess, I popped 2 and 3 on as background when I was doing other shit, and I didn't really pay attention. So then we did a rewatch of 2 and 3, and the main reason I wanted to do that was because if I'm going to talk about them now, time travel and all that shit, I probably should have watched them. Plus, I missed a whole lot of shit. And then at the end of Back to the Future 3, Marty's very worried that they got to go back in time again to fix something, or life is gonna be fucking with a bucket of goo. And Doc Brown said, "You can't really change the future. That everything's carved, everything's good. You just let things go. Everything will be fine." Which basically means we didn't need any of them fucking 3 movies, and they didn't have to do any time traveling at all. That's basically what he said. Um, Bill and Ted, they really whipped time travel's ass because they even met themselves and gave themselves advice, and then one of them didn't trust it and said, well, uh, maybe they were lying to us, and the other one said, well, why would we lie to ourselves? Excellent point. But they solved time travel in Bill and Ted. They needed uh, a car, and so they had to steal the keys from the dad, and they weren't sure if they happened to do that or not, so they time traveled back to make sure they stole the keys and put them in the bush. Um, there was some fun stuff in the Back to the Futures. I think Clee's sister likes the third one a lot. I don't know if best is accurate. I don't want to misrepresent folks here. Richter, I marveled over why you would possibly like the second one best. And my best guess was, I think I actually made some notes here. One of my notes was that you liked that uh, Marty's mom was all whorish with big knockers and all drunk and slutty. That was like one of my first guesses right there. I don't know really what else it could have been. Um, but we like the Back to the Futures, and Biff sucks in all his incarnations. He's consistently sucky and also a terrible actor. He might be a good actor in real life, but the series took on a real comic book kind of feeling for me. And there's an art form to being a bad actor if he's actually a good actor. There, I'm hearing some rumbling going on. Uh, so we got the Back to the Futures going, and we weren't not really going to psychoanalyze those suckers too much. Let me grab my notes here because, okay, so here's what happened. The I'm all full of myself in a bucket of goo. At the wait, I'm going to do this. I'll plug this right there. I'll put my bra strap up here. I see if I can grab this thing over here. Where the hell is it? I I don't really need it. I'll just tell you about it. I was looking for a tape of myself, which really makes me a dick to go pause my own show and look. So I actually have a Raymond the Amish comic of Live at the Rajah Theater from 1997 VHS tape. There was one floating around at the VHS Fest at Mahoning Drive-In. It's all the different vendors under their tents, and so our daughter and her partner found one at the tent we were looking at, and they said, "Oh my God, look at this!" And Vince said, "We have to get it." It was like $2, $3. Who the hell knows what it was? And then the guy at that tent knew who I was, and he didn't know that we were with our daughter and Vince, and so they kind of bought their stuff, and then they went to the next tent. Mrs. Comic and I were there buying something else, and then he said, "Oh, uh, we someone was looking at your tape over there, but I don't think they bought it." I didn't bother to explain to him that they did actually buy it because that's really embarrassing to say, yeah, they bought it, and that's my daughter and her partner bought my tape. That really makes me a dick. So sometimes it's better to just scale the story back to a more sensible, don't worry about it thing. Now, what are the odds of me going to drive-in movie VHS Fest with Mrs. Comic and there being two Raymond the Amish comic Raja Theater VHS incidents independent of each other? I don't know what the fuck the odds are, but when we were over in Ireland and they spotted people from Pennsylvania accent wise, and I said, "Well, what are the odds of that?" And the Peckerhead said, "There's always odds." So this was one of theirs always odds things because uh, Mrs. Comic was holding down the fort at the drive-in. You got to get to the drive-in. It's really so much fun. And so uh, my daughter and I were taking a stroll around. I don't know what we had to look at some more VHS tapes or whatever. And on the way back, close to the car, a fan starstruck. I'd be a better person if I remembered his name or had a picture taken with me and him for me. That I could show you now. I wasn't fucking thinking. But he was all starstruck, and he said that he just gave his VHS vendor friend who's there with his own tent a VHS tape of me that he bought however many years ago and just gifted it to him. And he dragged me over to the tent to the person he gifted the tape to, and I had autographed it way back when, I don't know when, and he wanted me to authenticate the autograph as being mine. I'm happy that somebody thinks I'm famous enough that there's suspicion that my autograph had been forged. So that was kind of flattering in a Twin Peaks David Lynch kind of way. So I said yes, and he didn't even want an updated one. Sometimes people want an updated one. He was cool with keeping the one that he knew. So I'm posing with him and the VHS tape, and he took a picture of this thing. So uh, that we had so much fun before any actual movies started. Then we got a rainbow. I should have put it in my show and tell. I forgot to put the rainbow in, but I'll tell you what. So the movies that they showed for VHS Fest were actually VHS tapes, and they try to find the weirdest, most obscure stuff that you wouldn't be able to find it, and if you found it, you might be a little sorry that you found it. So they showed us it was a double feature. Our daughter's partner Vince, he was working, so we at the drive-in, so we only got to see him a teeny tiny little bit. We're hanging out with our daughter, and she had been going with no sleep for a long amount of time, and that's going to be a story that we're going to tell later on also. So the first fine feature film was called Nightmare Sisters, and if I can't begin to tell you how horrible this thing was and also magical at the same time. It's the craziest thing. So this picture right there, those three sisters at the top, and they didn't even really seem like sisters. I believe there was no script. I believe they just said just wind up complaining that you don't have dates, and then one of you will say, "Oh, I met a guy. I'll call him up." And you call him up, and we'll bring over the dates, which are these three nerd guys down in the corner picture there. Now, what are they doing? They are looking through a keyhole to see those three sisters up there naked in a regular sized tub, but it's not them. Somehow they watch TV or something. I think they watched TV and something in the TV or something happened that turned them into these three slutty whores down here in the corner. So, and they had been invited into the tub with them. And I don't know why they didn't go. Probably after the transformation they were either happy they didn't go because they knew something was weird, or they were going, "Damn it! Who would have thought they three sister uglies up there would turn into the stripper whores?" So what was creepy beyond my ability to express is that they were just in a regular sized tub. If you've been ever in a tub, they're really built for one. And if you have two in there, something's going on. And if you had three in there, and they weren't really having sex, but they were like washing each other, and their knockers are hanging out because it's a low budget film. And my wife was sleeping, and our daughter was sleeping. I never felt so fucking creepy in my entire life. I felt like I wanted to force myself to sleep, and also that would be weird also. So I was basically hoping they wouldn't wake up, and then when they did wake up, I gave them hell for how dare you fall asleep and leave me with Satan's whores in a hot tub, the motherfuckers. So that was one of the craziest movies that I'd ever seen. um I good always triumphs over evil. I don't really know how, uh, but it was just horrible. And if I can't remember more about it, that's probably for the best, because the second movie was Terror Vision. Now, I'll probably get the storylines mixed up a little bit. You have all the classic stuff there. People watch TV and bad shit happens to them, and that Jabba the Hutt monster up in the corner is the thing that somehow come out of their TV, and it was kind of like a horrible version of ET is what it wound up being. Now down here, I should have made more pictures of these people here. The 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 list of characters in this film were so weird. They were watching like what's the vampire lady's name that does the horror movies? Elmira, thank you. Or Elvira. Elmira is better. I'm not changing to Elmira. Elvira, but it was like this Medusa lady, and so they were phoning in to her to try to get some advice of what to do about this monster, and she thought they were all drunk and nuts, and so they wound up coming and getting invited to uh, this big hot tub party that we don't really understand, and it was supposed to be swingers. So now I was thinking the sister whores in a hot tub might have been the lesser of all the two evils here. So there's a couple inviting another couple over to swing, and they're yelling at the kids to just be quiet and go to bed. And then Pappy got eaten by this monster, and it threw him up, and then the kid he was watching was now being babysat by Pappy that had been eaten and thrown up by this horrible monster. So they were going to have a swingers wife swap in this giant, oversized, proper size hot tub. If we're going to do a slutty scene, it's got to be the whole thing's going to happen. One of the man actors was Alejandro Rey. If you don't remember him, he was like the priest in The Flying Nun, and he was like that guy in Fantasy Island. He actually had to hang his dick out to run and dive into this hot tub. So there's a career arc that dipped way down from Flying Nun to Terror Vision. I'm certain he didn't get any extra money for it. I'm certain they tricked him and said the lighting will be dark, it'll be grainy, and no one will be able to see anything. Yes and no. We couldn't really see it. We're all grateful for that. But also, he definitely had his dick out, so we saw that. So there was really so much fun to be had. If you haven't watched bad movies, they're just really these are they find the best worst movies. Then you're happy you saw them, and you also feel a little bit scarred that you saw them. So now, long story even longer, because Vince is working, we rode up with our daughter, and then he was getting off work soon, and then we live about a half hour apart, so they were going to ride home together, and we were going to ride home together, and then we'd get home a little bit earlier, and they were going 15, 20 minutes. So, which gets me to this guy here. So, where the hell is he? All right, so here's our guy. I'm all over the place. Caesar's doing biscuits in the day because that's what he's doing, right? He's doing biscuits. That's our guy doing biscuits. But when we get home late, he doesn't give a flying fuck what we've been doing all day long, or if I'm tired, or he doesn't care. He's in circus mode, so he's zooming all around, flying all around. 2:30 in the morning, wide awake, and then I get a text message from our daughter around 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's the fuck me, something's up kind of thing. Or possibly she might have said we just got home, so there wasn't really panic levels there. Our daughter and her partner were a quarter of a mile from their home, maybe less, and the smallest little fucking pathetic cat was sitting in the middle of the road. He's Rico. He's scrawny. It's the smallest cat I've ever seen in my life for quite a few years. I've seen kittens, and the thing is wobbly and it's dirty. It's horrible. And he swooped him up from 3 o'clock in the morning. And here's this guy. He's got cleaned up a whole lot, but he's a mess. He's got a wobbly. It's thing cats can have. It's like a wobbly syndrome. So when they got home at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they thought they were going to just sleep because we were all tired from watching the Sister Whores in the bathtub, they had to deal with Rico Suave there, and so that's what we were doing yesterday. Also with our granddaughter, we're trying to bring this fucker back to life. He needs a lot of care. He went. I don't even want to talk about that. I'll talk about other things. But I'm trying to help out because he needs constant care, and he can't be in the house with our grandson, Hank, who is also a cat. So they got to be separated. And I had this little Rico Suave. I was sort of in charge of him for a little amount of time, and everything was fine. And the little fucker wobble ran, and he shit diarrhea while he was wobble running, and I'm left on my own. Like it was almost timed out that we're all going to have to do other things, and you just keep an eye on Rico diarrhea shit runner. But it was horrible. But he was at the vet today. He got not a clean bill of health, but all the horrible shit that could be wrong with cats. He's clear on that. He's got wobbly syndrome, and that's going to be a fucking nightmare. But he's getting better and stronger, and you can't. It's around this time of year when Caesar just showed up. This cat was in the middle of the road, so there's two kinds of people. The kinds of people who would not stop to help a cat in the middle of the road at 3 o'clock in the morning, and those who would take it in and then ask their father to come over and watch it run and shit, wobble shit. Uh, which brings me to another thing, cat people out there. It's all well and good to leave cat food out for cats, but you can't just fucking do that. You have to commit to trapping them, getting them fixed, getting them to the vet. You can re-release them back into the world, but you gotta get them fucking fixed. It's like that fucker said, Bob Barker said, have your pets spayed or neutered. That's true today because them cats just wind up. This thing was on its deathbed. I don't really know its backstory. You never know a cat's backstory. Um, but if you do that, you're not really doing the cats any favor just by putting food out, unless you're willing to go 30 feet up in a tree or run and get wobbly shitstorm. So do the right thing or do nothing. Sometimes it's better to do nothing. That's the weird thing to say. But so Rico is now the cat to be saved this summer. We had the biggest, heaviest, most obnoxious, adorable one last year up in a tree. And now we have the teeniest, scrawniest little matching one that can't even walk in the road. So it's the yin and yang of saving cats. Now, on to whatever the hell else I was going to talk about. I don't really know. See, I knew this would happen because I said I was over prepared, and now here I sit, mildly traumatized. Let's see here. Oh, I figured some shit out. This happens to us all. Um, we all wind up in bad moods sometimes. And if you're in a bad mood for no apparent reason, then that's unfortunate. But oftentimes they're in a bad mood for exact reason. Mrs. Comic was in a bad mood this week, and she had reasons, yeah. And I figured it out, which is unusual for me because I'm a comedian. My very nature is to want to try to cheer someone up, and so when someone's in a bad mood, if you just call them out on it and say, "Come on, man, nobody likes a Debbie Downer or why are you in such a bad mood," and you actually don't want to hear that. But if that happens, plus you don't want to be cheered up uh, if there's exact shit wrong. So I actually knew what shit was wrong, so I actually granted her a bad mood entitlement. I said, I understand you're in a bad mood, and I actually understand why. I support your bad mood. I'm not going to be in the bad mood with you, but you may stay in this bad mood for the proper amount of time. Uh, and it's really helpful. She's just confessed now she spilled coffee over her own purse. That fucking isn't that fuck you in a bucket of goo. Yeah. Like you can't even be mad at anyone but yourself. A coffee is it stains. So it sounds like we'll need a few more donations tonight so I can get Mrs. Comic a new purse because that was a gift that I got her last year, or I don't really know. And it sounds to me like the coffee stains are staying in there. And then that becomes a bag to hold other shit. It's just not a nice bag to go wherever the heck we're going. So before you call someone out and try to get them out of their bad mood, you might want to take a moment to find out why they are in that bad mood and can you do anything to lessen the bad mood. I cannot extract coffee stains from a purse, so I understood I really couldn't do much except just like not say, "Come on, why are you in a bad mood?" So hooray for us! And Mrs. Comic is now laughing about it until I just reminded her that her purse, that was a gift from me, little pricey but not insane, probably is coffee stains. So there's that. Now let's see here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, back to time travel. See, this Back to the Future time travel stuff and the Bill and Ted time travel stuff got me thinking I could create an Amish time travel show. The problem is they would never know if it worked or not because it's always the same. They could travel 50 years back or 50 years forward and they would have no way of knowing because everything would be exactly the same. They all look the same. They still don't have electric. And so the confusion would be in the show that, you know, we're going to time travel like a time travel buggy. We'll go in this buggy and then we'll time travel back 40 years and they'll kind of sort of be exactly where they were and everything will look the same. So they'll be tortured to madness. Um, if it worked, did it work? Did we go back in time 40 years? And if we did, how do we get back to the future? And does it even really matter? So uh, probably won't need too many special effects to do the Amish time travel buggy right there. Well, you know, the other thing that made me laugh about the Back to the Futures, they've tried to be so safe with language, like butthead and to call me chicken. Nobody calls me chicken. They were very careful with the language, but they were rather free with uh, drunken sluttiness and smoking and drinking and slutting it up and inappropriate behavior and treating women poorly, treating people poorly, but they wouldn't possibly say you're an asshole or you're a jerk off or whatever. You know, uh, that confuses me. Um, and maybe that's why Richter likes it. Richter might like it just because it confuses me. That hadn't occurred to me to right this very moment. So now we're moving on here. All right, so I got this. Showed you this before. Let's see, where am I? Right there. I do. I really love this show. The Mass Theater coming up Friday, July 26th. It's really my only show in the Lehigh Valley for the summer, and that could change, but it probably will not change. And I do a full blown, like a 90-minute show there. It's air conditioned theater. Triple Sun Spirits will be in the house, and the promo is serving drinks. That's yes and no. That's if you buy them. That's not like complimentary with the show. But there's sometimes is either question or pressure about opening acts. I don't use opening acts, and I will tell you for why. At some shows I do, but some shows I don't have any control over. Stage time is precious to me. And my fans come to my shows actually came to see me. So call me old fashioned, but I'm greedy. I don't want to share my fans or my stage time with an opening act who typically, even though there's great opening acts out there, hasn't put in the work to deserve a big, awesome fucking audience like I have. Plus, I'd rather have the stage time. For me, it's not unlike seeing a band. If it's a band that I want to see, Sparks, they came out, no opening act. They played as many songs as they could fit in to the night that is sensible, and pow, and that's what I love because we've all seen it. You want to go see a particular band, and there's an opening act, and you first, if you didn't know, that kind of sucks because you're like, get all geared up for the Iggy Pop or whoever you want to see, and like, oh, fuck, there's an opening act. I didn't know. So you process that, and then it starts to get too long. And opening acts all do it just when you think you can't fucking take it anymore. They go, we got a couple more songs to play for you. A couple sounds like a fucking thousand at that point. When you're waiting to get to Iggy Pop, a couple sounds like 1,000 fucking songs. So that's badass there. That's terrible shit there. And comedians, like I said, uh, typically opening acts, I don't know them. So that scares me a little bit because I love my fans. I kind of hate presenting someone to you that I can't fucking put my stamp on. So if I know the opening act and I can put my stamp on them, that's a big hooray. But if I can't, that scares me a teeny tiny little bit. And it just got me thinking too, over the years, some of the greatest, horriblest shit that's ever happened to me with opening acts is stuff because I you don't really have control over that. I don't have control over that. I don't once they're out on stage, I don't have control over what they're going to say or what they're going to do, but more importantly, how long they're going to do it. I will not name names, but I used to put an opener on the show with me because we live in the same town and he was supposed to do 25 minutes, 30 max. And he was doing an hour, and he was doing 45 fucking minutes and 55 fucking minutes, and there was always a fucking excuse. I didn't set the timer, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Tortures me to fucking madness. And some of these opening acts are just, if I just posted on threads. If somebody wants to start comedy and they wanted some advice, you got to write material, get stage time, and do the amount of time that you're asked to do. But if you're a new comedian, and a lot of times they do this, they just start talking to the audience, and they hope something funny happens. That's a fucking dangerous way to fly, horrible way to fly. And I've seen comedians do it, and they waste their whole 15 minutes trying to find the funny thing to talk about, and then they believe their show just started then, but it didn't. It fucking ended. So many problems like that with opening acts that if I can get away. Plus, I love performing. If I can cover the time, I would rather cover the time myself. There you have it. My disdain for opening acts, both for stand-up comedians and musical acts. The exception to opening acts, especially for comedians, would be George Carlin used an opener, and Lewis Black used an opener, and their openers were their personal friends who happened to be comedians. It was just one person that Lewis Black used one person, and George Carlin used one person. So they actually wrote together, they worked together, they traveled together. They could vouch for that comedian. So that would be the exception to the rule. And that brings me right back to why I got to see Lewis Black in Boston on the night before his HBO special, and his opening act was a little scrawny little old man, and he was fucking hilarious. He did a bit about, I wish I could remember his name. Most stuff would be funnier and more respectful if I remember his name, but he said, I'm watching a commercial for like cancer treatment, and there's this guy riding a motorcycle on the beach, and he has a gorgeous stacked bikini blonde hanging all over him, and he it got me thinking. He goes, I think I actually might like to have cancer because that's never fucking happened to me. Riding on the beach with a blonde bikini babe. So they had a rhythm though. They had a rhythm, and Lewis Black did a joke, and it just fucking flatlined. And he just stared at us and he said, I've been performing that joke with surgical precision for 6 months in anticipation of tomorrow's HBO taping. And on the eve of the big taping, I fuck it up. You know, Lewis Black. And then we all laughed, and then he shamed us. He goes, you are bad joke enablers. And then the next thing he said, which I don't even remember what it was, fucking brought the house down, and he yelled at us again. He said, fuck you people for laughing at that joke, because my friend, whatever the guy's name was who opened up, he didn't like the same joke of mine that you people didn't like. So he gave me that savor line in case people didn't like the joke as much as he didn't like the joke, and you really loved his joke, and you fucking hated my joke. And that's all well and good, except when we leave here, we are going to be driving in the same car from fucking Boston to Washington, D.C., and I'll have to hear it every fucking mile of the way how I fucked the joke up and Superman came swooping right in to save the fucking day. Um, so that was a fun thing for me to hear. And again, that's the exception to opening acts. I don't know what the hell else has been going on here. Let's see. Making some show notes here. Again, I'm trying to whip my set together for the Emmaus Theater Show. I never know what I'm going to do. I kind of sort of have a ballpark idea what to do, but I don't really know. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Has anybody got any fun stuff? Perhaps you would like to have your own show. As I said, I'm way over prepared. I think I'm at now the 36-minute mark, and apparently I'm really either out of stuff, or I was far less prepared, or the uh, sister whores in the tub story was initially going to be much longer than it was. So I dialed that sucker back. Let's see here. Boo. Oh, this was a ramble about the saving of Caesar last year, and the new cat Rico, which isn't here. Our daughter's got Rico. People who love cats will tell you this: that when they show up, when Caesar showed up, he fucking took over our lives, and he really didn't give us a choice. This little cute, adorable fucker, he came running in here like he lived here. It spooked us out a little bit. And so our daughter and her partner are going through that right now. They didn't just go out and find a cat, right? They didn't just go out and find a cat. The cat sort of came at them. Mrs. Comic saw a TikTok or something where uh, people were saying a thunderstorm happened, and the cat just fucking ran into their house and said, "I'm coming in and I'm staying," and that's it. That's when you really got to ask yourself the important questions. Are you a cat person, or are you just a person who puts food out for cats? Because that's a whole big fucking difference right there. And that sort of thing. Uh, Not everybody can save cats. We've been blessed. Um, we don't like Bearcat has a fan-funded house to live in. Bearcat doesn't want a home. It doesn't come up to us. In fact, if I talk to it, you try to be friends with it. So if I talk to Bearcat while I'm taking food out there, it it will actually turn its head away. And if I keep talking, then it will actually walk away. So Bearcat really doesn't want to be saved. But people, fans, have kicked up big time for cats. And a lot of people don't save cats because it's an expense, especially if you're going to do it the right way. We didn't have a lot of extra loot. Our family swooped in, and Caesar got. It's a family. Our niece and nephew, Irish wedding people. They save cats all the time. They have all the stuff. They have all the contacts also. So they swooped in, and they actually had a vet appointment for a feral cat outside that they were trying to help. And of course, the feral cat didn't really show up for the appointment. So they texted and said, "Does Caesar want this no-show feral cat's appointment?" Yeah, and they got him fixed and cleaned up and shots and all that stuff. And I believe it's a couple $100 to do that. So I get why people don't want to save cats, but you got to think about all that shit when you're putting food out, because you're kind of, if you feed something, you're kind of sort of like responsible for it. So then, thank you, Roger White, for shooting some cat loot in here. Um, so that initially, just to see if they're healthy and stuff, that's a few $100s. Then there's cat carriers, and if you don't have cats, you got to get all this stuff. There's food bowls and actual food, and the flea treatment and all this and that stuff. It's quite an expense to save a cat, even if you're gonna find a home for it, and it's quite an expense to take care of it, even if you're not going to keep it. And all this stuff turns me into a dick when I go to like the pet store, and they always say, "Would you like to donate $1 to save cats?" I don't always say it, but I think it. The trolls in my idea hallway are smart enough to tell me to shut up, and they just let me think it. But what they are thinking, trolls in my idea hallway, while I'm going, the trolls are going, "You can't fucking save a cat for $1, motherfucker. It costs at least $300. It costs hundreds of hours off your life. It's just a big fucking nightmare. It's at least a 10-week time of commitment. If you have a healthy cat, you need a fucking Facebook pet fan page, and above and beyond that, I'm fucking allergic, so I will keep that dollar for allergy pills if you don't fucking mind. You can't save a cat for a fucking $1. That's the whole point. But thank God I'm not so fucking crazy that I actually say that, because when I'm saying that, what they see is, no, that's all right. Would you like to donate $1 save a cat? No, that's all right. See, that, if I could capture that at an audition, I'd fucking get acting roles all the time, because my face is saying one thing and my fucking trolls in the idea hallway are going fucking nuts. Although the audition people will have to somehow figure out a way to tap into my idea hallway and get the appropriate troll who's going over the fucking cuckoo's nest. So, yeah, cat. But the other point there is that when these cats come in and you're going to save them, they do take over. So it's a tremendous commitment of time, and when you go on vacation and you have people come and watch your critters, that's a whole nother fucking thing. The nutser the cat is, the longer the take care of him note, or dog, the take care of him note is just fucking out of control, and that's why I think that uh, if you are persons like Mrs. Comic and I who take care of some family pets while people are on vacation, I believe we should be involved in the pet selection process, because if we're gonna have to take care of like fucking wobbly Rico Suave who fucking runs and shits, I would not pick that cat. So I'm just saying they didn't actually pick it either. It's just oh, we're really proud of our daughter and her partner, because that's a fucking rough decision right there, to see a cat 3 o'clock in the morning on the roadside, uh, and just drive by and say, well, probably someone else to take care of it. So it is it just to say it changes everything about how you live is a tremendous understatement, and the freakish pets you take care of. That's why if you have good pet taker carers, fucking pay them, fucking pay them whatever is the going rate plus a teeny tiny little bit more. Because Mrs. Comic and I, we are fucking pros. When you travel and you go on vacation, what fucks up your vacation? You could be anywhere, man. You could be looking at Niagara Falls. You could be over there having real Irish whiskey in Ireland and be going, I hope the cat's happy. I hope it's not thunderstorms. That's what you do. So we take a lot of pictures and I drop them in a folder. And so, or I used to text them, and I still do a little bit, but you don't know where people are and they're having fun on their vacation. So do a shared folder, send them an invite, drop all them fucking cat and dog pictures in there, and don't put in anything bad. Do not do not report any fucking thing bad that you can take care of, because that's a dick move. If the dog escaped and it ate a car, if there's actually something they could do about it, then fucking tell them. But if there's nothing they can do about it, you know, the dog escaped and it lived in prison for a night, but we got it back. They don't fucking have to know that until they actually get home. So don't report bad news that isn't really bad news, and that goes without saying, really, for all things, not just pets. Don't report bad news that didn't fucking happen yet. At least have the politeness and the courtesy to let the bad shit happen before you piss and moan about it. How about that? Um, that's it. I don't have nothing else. Let's see here. I've tried to get 45 minutes in, but it's actually only 8:14. And there's some love for Bearcat. I too, we love Bearcat, and when we tease, uh, there's my alarm. Quiet. We tease that Bearcat has a home. It's just outside, and there's a lot of truth to that. Um, the little fucker, he's happy out there. He has a rhythm, and there's ferns back there. There's actually the way our property is set up here is that if if it's hotter than fucking hell, 90 degrees, there's patches of concrete at the top of our basement steps that are actually cool. The basement cool comes up, and there's ferns and there's shade, and I'm not saying it's fucking paradise, but Bearcat's smart enough to know where the cool spots are to lay. They just happen to be in Caesar's sight line. So then when Bearcat's out dying in the heat and just trying to just cool off, Caesar will see this and scream and go nuts and fucking bang on the windows, which alerts me that this house is under siege by a sleeping cat trying to fucking escape the heat. So, um, so Bearcat does have some stuff out there, and even there's major trust issues here. See, before we got uh, Mary in here, before Caesar in here, Bearcat, when it was really fucking cold, I mean fucking cold, the little wet room we have in the back, I'm put a little teeny little space heater back there, and I opened the door and put his food in there. But he little fucker wouldn't come in there. I gotta get a picture of that. I'll save that for a winter stream. But he wouldn't just fucking come in until I came in here and closed another door that a little fucker could hear the other door close, and then it would still wait until there was no sounds that it could hear, and then it would tippy toe in there, eat the food, and fucking leave. Bearcat, we love Bearcat, but it's too stupid to lay in there and enjoy the heat a teeny tiny little bit. But so its heater room is done, but but that was before we had the fan funded heater house. So yeah, and Mrs. Comic sent me out on a cold fucking day when Mary's little kitten Jerry, it was fucking face hurting cold. But Mrs. Comic Googled how to build a warm, cheap thing for outdoors, and this thing was like a sling blade shack contraption. It was fucking Tupperware and styrofoam and Tupperware inside of Tupperware, and you have to carve holes and all that shit, and a heating pad in there. And we took that idea and put it inside of the fan funded feral cat house. In fact, we got that was part of the funding. The new uh, Tupperware, just at like fucking Home Depot or wherever the fuck you want to go. Not Home Depot, Staples, the office supply place, and you got to get a plastic tub and one a little bit smaller so it can go in there. And then we shove styrofoam in there, and then we also took the roof and we wrapped plastic all around before we put this house together. And then I shoved that all under a old wooden picnic table, and there's tarp stretch. That fucker is water fucking proof, and it breaks the wind. And I believe Bearcat has it as good as any feral cat can have it that has to live outside. The punchline would be as if it was somebody's fucking cat, and he actually had like a country club fireplace. But I don't think he does because he looks he looks pretty rough, and I have a good rhythm for when that fucker needs food, and I am awesome enough to get food out there before the fucking thunderstorm hits. Know your cats, know your pets. They sure as fuck know us, and I don't want to save any more cats right now. I'm peaking. The running joke is to save cats one at a time, and the cats must have some sort of post office with, instead of criminal faces on it, people who would save cats. I think my face is on there as the guy who looks kind of like a cat, but he saves us, but only one at a time. So just, when you move up the rotation, now serving cat number 93. Uh, we, I told a story before about uh, when I first met Mrs. Comic, and we were just dating, and we weren't a official living together couple yet. I swooped a feral cat. I took a feral cat over and delivered it, and then we fell in love, and the cat moved in with me. Uh, and cats could come and go. That we'd never do that now. That cat Cecil was an inside outside cat because that was long time ago, and probably like maybe like the 80s when there wasn't all the traffic, there wasn't all the hell going on, and you don't really think about where your cat goes in those days. And she always made it home. One of the reasons she always made it home was though we were half a block away from a steak sandwich joint, and the grill, the grilling floor was like down one. So there's the concrete, and then if you want to go into the hot dog shop, you got to go down 3 steps. And the grill was right in the fucking window. And Cecil would sit on the sidewalk and guilt them and watch them make steak sandwiches and burgers and all that shit. And they'd feed her at the back door, and he thought she was fucking homeless for years. For fucking years, she was down there getting fucking free cheesesteaks while I had to fucking pay for them. And then finally, because we knew them people, and they said, "Oh, that's your cat." Or, yeah. Well, she goes out a little bit, but she always comes home. Well, she doesn't go that far. She goes down, she stares at her fucking grill, she watches that shit, and the customers all feel bad for her. Oh, we have to feed the cat or we look like fucking assholes. It's bad for business. And then Mrs. Comic was also then either taking some dance lessons or a night class, and she met a gal up there who lived around, the high school. The high school had a good 15-minute walk from here, and Cecil, that girl walked down to the cheesesteak place all the way from the high school, got a cheesesteak, and walked it all the way fucking back to the high school where she lived. And she said our cat Cecil followed her from the fucking cheesesteak place all the way up to the fucking high school, and I think she gave her some of her cheesesteak because apparently that's how you get cheesesteaks. Me, like a fucking dumbass, I was buying them all the time. Now I'm vegetarian, it doesn't really give a fuck. But I think that is a wonderful place to end the show. Help cats if you can, but don't just fucking help them a little. If you're going all in, go all in. And if you can't, don't put food out for them unless you're going to see it through and get them fixed. And another thing is too, depending on your area, you can call up like I'm not sure, the animal shelter, no nonsense neutering, there's no kill cat care places, and tell them I don't know anything about cats. I have cats here. I can't trap this thing out. They'll send people out. They'll send interns out or young people working there that are excited to set a trap, and then you call them up and say, "I got the cat." They'll come out, pick it up, they'll take it back, they'll clean it up, wash it up, get the fucking fleas out of there, cut its balls off, get it neutered, whatever, and they will return it to whence it came. But you can help these cats in different ways, or you can just say, "Fuck it, let's just put a cheesesteak in the Amish Comics yard and let the cat go there, and it'll be his fucking problem." If that's how you want to be, I have no control over that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your tolerance of it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday. And that's going to keep going for a while because our Tuesdays, I think, will settle down. They're hit or miss, but right now they're mostly, oh, fuck me, the bucket of goo. But you never know. So thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful week. Let's see if I missed anything to show you here. We've got... Well, we already saw... since we're talking cats here, I will leave you with Caesar doing biscuits. And the other weird thing about him is he likes to go under the blanket to do biscuits. And if you don't know anything about cats and you get one and they do biscuits, it can be a little scary. They just start fucking pawing and clawing. But also we're gonna go, that's the yin and here's the yang. That's the big cat who we just love him so much, who somehow survived at least 4 days up in a tree with thunderstorm. I don't know how he fucking did it. And now we have the new one here, Rico Spazzo, right there. So he's on his way to getting a home. And if you're gonna get a wobbly cat, you gotta have a ranch home or something with no floors. That's the tip. No steps, because it has to have floors, because if it doesn't have floors, Mrs. Comic pointed out, all right, I'm coming back a second, because I said no floors, and Mrs. Comic said it has to have floors. It can't not have floors. It can't have steps. That's what we meant. So, because if you bring a cat into a home that has no floors, you don't have a fucking home. And the cat's basically homeless, and you all could fall in a fucking pit. And that's the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard of. If that's not a place to end my show, there never was one. We love you. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.